directly from the line.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So we asked Massimo Scionti, but yes, for further question you can ask to the production or maintenance people. Okay. So today concerning the, I don't know if you still see my screen because I'm not. Can you see the full presentation in the big screen?
No.
Or no?
No, we do not see anything, Fabio.
No. Okay, just a second. Let me. Okay, now you should see. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So plant maintenance today, basically here we have, I would like to give you an update concerning the application landscape that is supposed to support this process. So basically it is foreseen that SAP S/4HANA will support for sure the process in terms of creation of maintenance order, costing and accounting of the maintenance intervention, and management of the spare parts inventory, as we saw also for the corrective maintenance. We have to define with Walla Corporate, with the Italian, especially with the Italian IT people, which is at least for the first go live system that will support the initial part of the process. I'm talking about the planning of the maintenance intervention and the creation of the maintenance request. Here just a couple of words concerning the word planned. So we are talking about planned maintenance, not the predictive one. So the planned maintenance is the one that taking into account the working hours of each machine or each modes and comparing it with the standard working hour, with the maximum standard working hour defined by the machine master data. It propose which is the date for performing the maintenance activities. So this is what we are talking about. This was just an introduction concerning the meaning of planned maintenance. Coming back to the system, the idea is to have it starting from Iris, as we discussed for the corrective maintenance. The point is that for the corrective maintenance that we saw last time, Iris has already these features for managing the corrective maintenance. So it has the maintenance request and the possibility to detail, I would say, 90% of the fields of the maintenance request that we saw last time. For the planned maintenance, this is something that at the moment has not been implemented, is not being developed into Iris. It's something that the Iris team, in Italy, has taken into account in the past, because they received, let me say, this kind of request from the user, from the maintenance user, to have the planned maintenance also on Iris, but at the moment is something that is not developed in Iris. So the big idea to have, let me say, linear process is to have Iris here, where it's written to be defined, and move everything to SAP, but at the moment we cannot guarantee that this can be, let's say, met by the go live of SAP. There are still ongoing discussion with the corporate IT to define which is the system to start the process, the planned maintenance process. Therefore, the idea for this meeting is to go through the process, and we will keep you updated in the next meeting, since it's something that hopefully we will discuss and take a decision in the next week. We will keep you updated in the next meeting we already have scheduled with you. Everything is clear so far? Okay. So basically here where we had the iris for the corrective maintenance at the moment is TBD, to be defined, but we have the, let me say, the core of the process is relying at the moment on SAP. Therefore, this means that this TBD can be either iris, either SAP. But let's go through the process. The process starts with the planning of maintenance interventions. So this we will have, let me say, an illustrative table later in the next slide, showing the fact that the planning means to compare the working hours of the machine or the molds with the standard one defined in the master data. This will allow to let me say, define a proposal for a date to perform the interventions. When the intervention is proposed and accepted by the maintenance team, before starting the intervention, it's required to create a maintenance sheet. Therefore, a maintenance request as the one that we saw last time. So the intervention is planned. When it's accepted, it starts the process that we saw last time as per the corrective maintenance. A maintenance sheet is created by defining all the data of the intervention, so the machines, the timing of the stop the machine, how many people are working on these interventions, which spare parts are used, the time for completing the intervention, and so on. As the maintenance sheet is created, a maintenance order is automatically opened on SAP. As the maintenance sheet is completed and closed, the maintenance order in SAP is automatically closed, both under a technical point and also under an accounting point of view, meaning that all the costs are registered, and finally the spare parts declared that have been used in intervention are removed from the stock in SAP. Finally, since this is something that I would have said at the beginning, when the intervention are planned on the tool, on the planning tool of the intervention, this information have to be communicated to SEDAPTA, where SEDAPTA portal is the tool that will be used as a scheduling platform for the production orders. To perform a correct and reliable scheduling of the production orders, SEDAPTA has to know the downtime, the planned downtime of the machines in the future. Therefore, let's say that the planning of maintenance intervention has an horizon of 2 months. This has to be communicated to SEDAPTA, or more than 2 months, I would say 6 months. This has to be communicated to SEDAPTA in order SEDAPTA platform in the scheduling activities can take into account which are the downtimes moment of the machines in the future. Questions so far? Okay, and move on to the next slide. So this is an example of, let me say, a table, a simple table to be used for the planning of maintenance intervention. So this is not Iris. This is taken from a tool which is currently used from Italian maintenance team, which will be shut down because it will be replaced either by Iris or SAP or SAP. So basically, this is the maintenance for the molds, description of the molds here, and it's written, which is the last maintenance executed, the working hours so far from the last maintenance executed, the remaining working hours. So blue is, let me say, working hours that there are still a lot of working hours to be done, 102-hour working hours. Yellow is the molds that are reaching the limit of the working hours before maintenance, and the red lines are the molds that have reached the has overseeded the working hours, so they have to be maintained, they have to be, I don't know how to say for the molds, they have to be reworked, let's say. And this is, let me say, to establish which are the remaining working hours, this is compared with the standard maximum working hours that have been defined in the master data, either of the machine or of the molds. So this is basically an idea that by monitoring the working hours of the machine, it is possible to define which is an estimation of the date of the future date of the interventions. And I would like to have, let me see, your opinion about the applicability of that, of a table like this. If you see the need to have more information in this table, if you see it applicable both for the machine and for the molds, or if you have in your facilities, in your plants, other kind of, let me say, equipment to be maintained that follow logic different from the production machine or the molds.
Grant, do you just want to give a brief overview of the system we're using and what information that gives?
We're doing a kind of combination of kind of hours-based maintenance on the machines that don't run 24 hours and 7, but we're just taking a kind of manual reading from it. So if we can have a system that would pull hours or runtime or parts produced from the machine and integrated in, it would obviously be much better and easier to plan.
Yeah. So if we've got machines that, sorry.
I think you're sorry.
Go on.
Yeah, no, sorry, just to, because I don't know if it's for me, Grant, you went too fast for my understanding, so please you can slow down the speech, or I don't know if you were going to recap. Sorry for that.
Yeah,
Maybe
no
I'm. it's the end of the day. We've been talking English all day, so it's quite complex.
What I was saying was our system relies on kind of manually taking hours run from the machine, because not all of our machines run 24/7. Some we try and do maintenance by hours based or by parts produced. But obviously a system where like that would be linked into the machine and we could plan it through that would obviously be much better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think what the point is you're saying, Grant, and just to probably add a bit more to it, is that if we have machines that are running 24/7 every day, every week, then we would plan those based on a calendar because they are always operational. But we do have a number of machines, quite a few machines, that don't run all the time. Their utilization is lower. And at the moment, because our maintenance system is not linked to our production or ERP processes, we have to measure that separately to know when the maintenance is due. So with this system linked to the SAP, then it should be very accurate data telling us when the machine requires its maintenance, which is clearly better than what we currently have.
Yeah, it would definitely be much better if we can run from hours rather than calendar. So if they are linked to the PLC of the machine, which gives us the indication of the runtime, it will be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, in Bridge of Allen, we probably have a different setup than what we have in Kirkintilloch, because in Bridge of Allen, we have the barcode system, which does give us run data. However, the barcode system is still independent of the maintenance system. It's independent of the JD Edwards ERP system. So everything is not linked. So it does require more of a manual overview to ensure that we are achieving the dates and times we require.
Okay, and from the other countries, do you see this applicable, or do you see issue in that, in this model? Maybe from Germany, we have we do have I don't know, Paul from Germany.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul,
Yeah.
just to understand whether you see this model applicable in comparison with what you do today for planning. I don't know, honestly, maybe you can explain what is done today for your colleague for the part of plane maintenance, and whether this model you presented here is applicable either for the machine and also for the mold.
Yeah, we do our maintenance planning with our system only for the predictive maintenance. So the daily work is done in direct communication.
Direct communication, you mean between the machines and the system?
So
No.
no. So what Paul is meaning, so the daily troubleshooting is done on an operator and technician level, but for the planning, so it's more or less the same what the guys are talking about in UK. So we have 2 periods in a year for every line. So we go on a maintenance, but we are not counting hours, or the only thing what we are counting are closures, but not hours.
Okay.
So in this case, is really a benefit to have the real 1 hours available.
Okay. But sorry, nowadays I'm understanding that the periods of closing of the line can help the maintenance for the machines, but this is also for the molds, or the molds are something that is maintained during the production, during the years, or you perform maintenance?
It depends. It depends. So molds, I do not know exactly what you mean with molds. So so we have only aluminum closures, so no plastic. So I don't think that we have compression molds like the other ones. So we have punch presses, and there as well we have tools. So for several presses we have some additional tools, so we can maintain them under the time. So we do not need to stop the line. On other ones, we need to do that during a maintenance job. So we have to shut down.
Okay.
So if this was the question, I hope this is the right answer for you.
Yeah, I think the term molds is very much more related to plastic injection molding, but can be and sometimes is used for the tooling for presses as well. So it's more tooling maintenance than machine maintenance, I would suggest.
Yep.
Okay, tooling maintenance. Thank you, Stuart. Okay, so you were saying that in general, considering, let me say, the fact that you are not managing hours for the maintenance, but only performing maintenance during this 2 periods of stop in the year, the hours can be, let me say, something that can help to
Yes, for sure,
improve the
but
maintenance process.
to make it a little bit more clearer. So when I said we do 2 times in a year of maintenance, so for sure we have a defined timetable when we will start and when we will end, and so we are reducing for sure the capacity, and it's defined and not as long as it takes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, Stuart, can I come back on your process? I didn't catch the part of the barcode that you explained before. If you can, please say.
Barco is is counting, is hours, but is also counting amount of product produced each day, each hour, each minute. So we have the live data from the machines telling us how many closures have been produced. We also get the OEE data from this, so we have run hours and available hours, etc. But this system is not linked to any other system. It's not linked to the maintenance management system, and it's not linked to the ERP system either. So there has to be manual intervention between each system. There is no direct link.
Okay.
In Kirkintilloch, in our other factory, that is not the barcode system. So everything is done through what we call our OEE system, which is managed by the team leaders, the shift managers, I should say, who manually input data into a database at the end of each shift. So it's very much a manual system in Kirkintilloch.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. What about Mexico? Do you use a system for providing proposals for performing planned maintenance intervention, or they are performed during the period of stop of the production during the year?
For the injection mold, it's similar at the example that you give us right now. And
Okay.
for the equipment for deco machines and assembly machine, it's once a month every equipment, and we follow this maintenance by an Excel program.
Okay. But the injection mold, the hours, if I understood well, are counted in a similar way as the one that I presented.
That's it. That's right.
Okay. And from Spain, we have Olerdola. The current situation and the possibility in the future to have a process like that, a system like that implemented, is something that you see doable and feasible.
Desbloquear eso. ¿Quieres decir algo?
Bueno, coméntalo.
Hello there.
Yeah.
We already have a system to manage this, but we have never applied it because we don't have time to set all the system, to define the machines, the spare parts. We never been able to start with working with this. It seems utopic because it requires many efforts, many manpower to work with this. So the idea is very good, but we are not working like this right now. We are managing this information with a spreadsheet.
Okay, but you mean a lot of work to do in the phase of the implementation of the launch of the system, or during
in the phase of the definition of the machines, of the shifts, of the spare parts, of everything. So what parts of the machine, what engines they have, this definition requires a lot of time that we don't have, or the people of maintenance don't have. So right now we report on the shifts parts, on the interventions of the mechanics and the electrical people, but that's all.
Okay, understood. Yeah, I would say that.
I don't know how they work in Jerez. Maybe Gonzalo or Javier can introduce us a little. How do you manage this? ¿Cómo lo hacéis en Jerez? Gonzalo?
En Jerez hay algo parecido, pero no es esto exactamente. Es decir, hay planificación de las intervenciones hay registro de control horario de moldes y máquinas para dichas intervenciones, hay un control de gastos por máquina y por molde de todo el coste del material, pero no hay una intervención, o sea, el contaje de tiempos de intervención de momento no existe, ni tampoco existe un movimiento de inventario de los repuestos.
Understood. Okay. And okay. So basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but
sorry.
yeah.
Fabio, sorry, una pregunta para Gonzalo. Gonzalo, ¿cómo se llama este sistema que tienen?
No, el sistema que tenemos ahora mismo es Excel, ¿eh? O sea, registro, ¿vale? Lo único es que la información que utiliza de horas ya vienen de la parte que habíamos visto de producción, ¿vale?
Claro.
O sea, cuando registras producción estás registrando moldes, máquinas y por lo tanto horas de trabajo. ¿Vale?
Claro. Gracias.
Gracias.
Okay.
Fabio, maybe I have one other question.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the right time, but anyway, is there an approach to take over existing data and historical data? So we are in Germany, we are using our system for more than, let me say, 20 years, and there's a quite huge database and many information. And for me, it's an important question how to transfer data in a new system. So maybe Stuart is the same for you.
I would totally agree. I think the historic data is a valuable instrument for finding past solutions to new problems. So yeah, having the data transferred is going to be, I think, an important aspect, or at least having access to the data.
For data, what kind of data you mean? Master data of the machine, or we are talking about
master data of the machine, how many maintenance actions, troubleshooting, problem solvings, consumption of spare parts.
Okay. Here I ask the help of my technical colleagues. Maybe this is more a question for Simone. So concerning the possibility to import this kind of data is something that we can, I mean, for sure master data is something that by defining a good migration, let me say, approach for moving the master data of the machine or the molds of the spare parts, if you have, is for sure something that we have to plan. Concerning the historical data of the intervention, the historical data of the troubleshooting is something I would say more technical that we have to have better understand in whether we are going to perform this kind of activity on SAP. I don't know, Simone, if...
Yes. Usually the best practice avoid the import of the historic data. So usually the approach is import the master data and the new intervention for the go live for the future. We can understand better the volume for this part, and we can analyze how to import it.
Yeah, I mean, if I could probably just, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be the same for everybody, whether they have a system or they use Excel or whatever. But, you know, probably a few examples would be if there was a customer complaint from 12 months ago, and it's not unknown that some customers take a year to use product, and we may need to do an investigation into what was carried out, what work was carried out on the machine. Having that availability is very useful. or you would still have to have two systems to go back over the historic data. Similarly, if there was some health and safety issue, some accident, some claim on the company, you may wish to go back over the data, maybe over many years, to see what interventions were undertaken. So I don't really mind, in my opinion, which way we go forward, as long as we do not lose access to the data, because the data, the historic data, has a value and importance to the business.
Yes, of course, Gilles. So the access to the historical data, for sure that you're not going to lose it. You are always going to have it as read-only. We only need to decide exactly what to migrate, if only the necessary master data, if historical data in a set range of years, or how to proceed. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for the countries concerning the documents useful for the maintenance. I mean, if you have defined cycles for maintenance, so the list of instructions to carry out for the operator, if you have them prepared in a structured way, these maintenance cycles, this list of information, and if you have attached to that the documentation of how to perform the maintenance activities. So what to do and how to do is something that is structured in documents and managed from your side, just to understand whether they have to be managed in SAP, if we can start from something that we have represented nowadays in a structured way.
Sorry,
So I
missed
think,
some-
yeah, please first.
I did miss some of that. Are you talking about operational procedures or written procedures for the task?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say we would probably need to do more work on that. We do have standard operating procedures for some tasks, but maybe not all. Would you agree with that, Adrian, Grant?
Yep. We are at present reviewing all the standard operating procedures, and we are also updating the service schedules just now for each machine, which will list all the tasks, per the intervals that we decide.
So,
I think in the WorkMate system has a list of tasks, I believe. We have like all the tasks that need to be covered, but within the system, it doesn't give a work instruction to do them. That is something separate, yeah? And we wouldn't have that for every task.
Yeah, on the WorkMate system, we can attach like a Word file, or Excel with the service schedule on there, which gives the engineers the list of tasks that need to be completed.
But I think Fabio was talking more about the actual procedure the engineer has to undertake to carry out the task, like a work instruction. We don't have that, no?
Certain tasks we may do, but it's
Yeah.
not for everything. So on the WorkMate system, it allows to put in like a basic check sheet, and as Adrian mentioned, you can link Word or Excel, PowerPoint documents to the work order it generates. So some tasks may have a relevant work instruction or with pictures or photographs, but not all. We're in a similar situation where we're reviewing that across the plant. Move on it.
Okay. And I think it's fair to say that the WorkMate system that we're using is still relatively new to the business. I mean, what we're talking just over a year, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have maybe one department which use it for servicing and breakdowns, reactive maintenance, which we are now rolling out to all the other 3 departments, but in terms of the service schedule that we spoke about, the work instruction, we are developing a new system where it's minimum information but pictures. So if, for instance, we have to lubricate a part of the machine, the instruction will be lubricate, then a picture of the task, and also where the spare parts will be located.
Okay, understood, clear. I don't know if Paul from Germany was...
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
If we have a maintenance order from our system, we have automatically a documentation output for maintenance instructions, for cleaning instructions, and also we have then protocols for the commissioning of the machine after maintenance work. So we have a couple of documents automatically generated in our system when we do plant maintenance.
But Paul, to be honest, not on a very deep level. So from time to time, yes, but it's not that detailed that everyone could do that.
Yes, of course. But the basic informations, which machine, what is to do,
Yes,
what parts
absolutely.
are needed,
Yep.
and which checklist is to use.
Okay, understood. I mean, a starting point that in case, do you see the need to continue to manage them? Let me say, if we are going to structure the process either on Iris or on SAP, do you think it's necessary to define, let me say, the possibility to have them, the cycle of the maintenance activities, and also the document to generate is something that you would like to continue to do, and do it for the maintenance intervention that we were going to define, something that we can put into the new system?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if we can attach that into the system, yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. So basically, try to sum up what we said. First thing is the system that will support this kind of process, the planned maintenance. So nowadays we are discussing whether it will be 100% SAP or the start of the process will be as expected by the corporate. We can start with Iris at the beginning and then move the information to an SAP. This is something that will be hopefully communicated to you, let me say, in the next weeks. Concerning the possibility to manage the illustrative example that I showed you with the table, we can say that is a possibility that, if I correctly understood, is accepted, let me say, by the different countries. Is an help that provides a better detail of the moment of the intervention in comparison to the one that you performed today. So it's something that for sure can help also to prevent further failures of the machine, in my opinion, instead of performing the maintenance only in the downtime of the 2 periods of the years. By moving to a process that perform the maintenance intervention according the hours defined, counting the hours is something that for sure will increase, will improve the reliability of the plant and will decrease the, let me say, the failure casualties. We have to remember, we have to take in consideration the suggestion that, let me say, the point of attention that has been raised from Lerdola, which is the one that, let me say, the system, all these procedures in the system, yes, they are important, but they can imply, let me say, a lot of time spent from the maintenance people. So we have to remember that design of the process, either on Iris or on SAP, have to take into consideration the need to try to reduce, let me say, the time spent from the people to managing the data on the system, in order to avoid to have, let me say, the people only working on the computer to set up the time. So in the design of that, in the detailed design, we will take in consideration also this aspect that it will be an important change management aspect. By saying that, finally, we saw that in some countries we have, let me say, already cycles, instruction for the maintenance activities and document that can be generated by the system in the moment the intervention is planned, and this can be a good starting point to define into the system the proposal of maintenance document to be provided to the operator in order they can rely on the instruction written in the document. I think these are the main points that, let me say, we face today. I don't know if you would like to add something else. Otherwise, let me say, the big next step here is to define at a high level point of view, which is the system. And after the system, we can go in the detail of what the system can do by detailing the process that we described at high level today.
No, it's fine for me. I probably have more questions about system, the next step really. So about what you've described today, I'm okay.
Okay.
Just one question from me. Is Iris a system that's been developed internally by the business, or is this a product from another vendor?
I think it has been 100% developed by the Guala team.
Correct.
Maybe as
Yes.
confirmation.
I believe so as well.
Yes, it has been developed internally.
And is it been developed to a point where we are comfortable with the functionality, or is there further development required?
At the moment, further developments are required, which is why we are considering if we will be able to do all the developments in time. So we can align the go live of SAP S/4HANA together with Iris or not.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but I think the current release is up and running since quite a long time, and what they're doing now is releasing new functionalities. So they're working on it. But I mean, the baseline, I don't know, from the time we have to ask to Maurizio Minara, which is the leading responsible of the development of Iris, but I think they've been running since quite a long time. It's not a brand new product, Frank.
Okay.
Yes, correct. It's already running in Spinetta and Magenta, so in both plants in Italy since some time now. So what has been developed, what is working, is already has been consolidated. The new functionalities will need to be considered. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there are no further questions or remarks, I think we can close the meeting in advance, as promised. And we will share with you this document, one of the previous meetings, so you can have all the information in the minutes of the meeting. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
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 Bye. Bye.